Hey everyone, welcome to another 5-Minute Leader. And today I want to share a leadership lesson from this book that I just finished reading called The Master and Margarita. It is a Russian book. I read the English translation, even though I do speak Russian, but it would have been a little more complicated. The book was written between 1928 and 1940 in the Soviet Union, but as a result of censorship in the Soviet Union, it wasn't actually published until he died. The author died. It was published in 1966, 1967. And the particular story that I wanted to share comes from one of the early pages in the book. Now, if you haven't read the book, it's a pretty crazy story. I won't go into all the details, but there's a lot of weird stuff that happens, crazy characters in there. But just after I explain this one story, you'll kind of get a sense for the direction of the book. And so the book opens with these two characters. They're talking about atheism. And they're two very sophisticated, very intellectual characters sitting there and talking about atheism. And all of a sudden, this person interrupts them, and he hears them talking about this, and he interjects, and he starts talking about all these philosophical things and the existence of God and the existence of the devil. And these characters look at him and they're like, what are you talking about? Are you like, what kind of an unsophisticated person are you? They think this person is crazy. And then this strange character goes on to predict the death of one of these two sophisticated characters who are sitting there talking. And again, these two characters look at him and they're like, you're crazy, you're stupid, what are you talking about? And one of them gets up, walks away, and of course, sure enough, this character dies in the exact way that this mysterious character predicted that he was going to die. And the whole point of this story, and really what it made me think of, is this idea of being arrogant and overconfident. And so oftentimes, when leaders do not understand something, or they don't agree with something, or maybe they don't believe something, it's very tempting to just use your power and authority to dismiss things instead of asking questions and saying, well, I might not understand or agree with what you're saying, but tell me more. And in this case, had this character inquired a little bit more about how he was going to die, and if he could avoid it, he probably would have lived. So similar for you. If you're in a leadership role and an employee comes to you with an idea, it might sound stupid. It might sound crazy. You might think it's the weirdest thing you've ever heard. But before quickly dismissing it and assuming that you know the right answer and that your employee does not, take a couple minutes and ask some follow-up questions to learn a little bit more. Have the employees explain their idea. How do they get to the conclusion? Why do they believe this is the best course of action? And by doing so, it's not that it will necessarily change your mind and now all of a sudden you're going to believe in this direction, but it'll create trust. It'll create collaboration. It'll create transparency on your team. And yes, in several situations, it will lead you to discovering a new idea or an opportunity that you were not thinking of. Because oftentimes what happens with leaders is we work in our little bubbles, right? We only talk to other leaders. We only see things from our lens. We're sort of like horses with the blinders on, and sometimes it's very hard for us to look side to side. But having these conversations with your employees, regardless of how weird they might seem, will at least open your eyes a little bit, remove the blinders a little bit so that you can see and understand where your employees are coming from, why they're thinking certain things, how they got to those conclusions. So encourage dialogue, encourage feedback, encourage employees to challenge your assumptions, to challenge the ideas that you're sharing. Create that kind of a culture inside your organization. It doesn't mean you have to agree with everybody. It doesn't mean that you need to move in the direction that your employees are telling you, but at least hear them out. I promise you, it'll make a big difference for your team, for your company culture, and for you as a leader. So don't be like this character from Master and Margarita, who is so arrogant and so overconfident that they dismissed something and ultimately ended up getting their head lopped off. Hopefully, that's not going to happen to you, but it'll keep you from making a disastrous mistake inside your company, but with your head intact. I'll see you soon.